All right, let's dive in. Today, we're exploring a really powerful philosophical story that gets right to the heart of a choice we all face. We're talking about the bridge and the abyss, and what the philosopher Soren Kierkegaard famously called the leap of faith. So let me ask you this. When you're faced with a challenge that seems, completely impossible, what's your move? Do you follow a super rational step-by-step plan, or do you just take a leap of faith? It's a huge question, and it's pretty much the core of the story we're exploring today.
So, picture this. Our story starts on a dusty road. We've got two companions walking along together, a master and his servant. Now, on the surface, it looks like they're on the exact same journey, but as we're about to see, what's going on inside their heads, well, they're worlds apart.
Okay, so this slide really breaks down the huge difference between these two. On one side, you have the master. Kierkegaard calls him the tragic hero. This guy lives by the rules, by the ethical code that we can all understand and agree upon. Then, on the other side, you've got the servant, the knight of faith. He's following a personal, divine calling that honestly looks completely nuts to everybody else. They're on the same road, but the real difference is how they choose to walk it. And then, bam! The journey comes to a screeching halt. The path they were counting on is just gone, and in its place is a pretty terrifying problem. And there it is, a collapsed bridge, a roaring gorge below, and a command from the heavens. They have to cross, not just to get to the other side, but to save their very souls. I mean, talk about high stakes. This is the crisis, the moment of truth that's going to show us who they really are. In this pressure cooker moment, their two paths split dramatically. One of them looks to the world for the solution, and the other, well, he looks somewhere else entirely. Let's see how this plays out. The master does exactly what any of us would probably do, right? He gets to work, he pulls out the maps, he starts doing the math, he's applying the laws of physics, gathering stones and wood. He's got a rational plan that he can explain to anyone. He's trying to bridge the gap using human strength and knowledge for the good of everyone. This is the hero's way. But the servant, he does something totally different. Kierkegaard calls it the double movement. So step one is infinite resignation. He looks at that massive gorge and just accepts. Nope, no bridge I can build is ever going to cross this. He completely gives up on his own cleverness. But then, and this is the crazy part, in the very next breath, he makes the leap of faith. He believes he can cross, not because of a bridge, but because of something else entirely. And this brings us to this really key idea of the absurd. Now, this isn't about being silly or ridiculous. For Kierkegaard, the absurd is this wild idea that something physically impossible can suddenly become possible, but only through a direct personal connection to the divine. It's a complete clash with the universal laws that the master is so carefully following. And this quote just nails it, doesn't it? The master thinks the goal, the absolute, ultimate truth, is on the other side of a bridge he has to build with stones. The servant understands that the only way to get there is to ditch the building materials and just leap. So, you can just imagine the scene, right? The master is hard at work, sweat on his brow, trying to build his bridge. And the servant? He just calmly walks up to the edge of the cliff, preparing to do the unthinkable. As the servant takes that step out over the empty air, the master is absolutely horrified. From his point of view, this isn't faith, it's suicide, it's madness, it's a total violation of everything he knows about how the world works. Gravity, reason, logic, it just looks like a private hallucination. And the thing is, the servant can't explain himself. How could he? There's no logical argument you can make for walking on air. His truth is completely personal. It can't be shared or turned into a universal law. It's a private venture. And that's the silence of the knight of faith. He's totally alone in his belief. So what happens next? One man has just leaped into nothingness, and the other is still chipping away at stones. Let's take a look at the aftermath of these two very different choices. This chart just lays it out so perfectly. The servant, our knight of faith, he actually makes it to the other side. But look what he does. He doesn't celebrate or boast, he just sits down and eats his lunch with this simple, quiet joy. The world has been given back to him like a gift. He's an invisible miracle. Meanwhile, the master, the tragic hero, is still over there, toiling away on his bridge. He's become a respected monument to human effort, sure, but he's still stuck on this side bound by the very logic that makes him so admirable. So what's the big takeaway here?
What does this whole story tell us about how we should face the giant, gaping holes in our own lives?
It really presents us with two completely different paths for facing that abyss. You've got the hero's way, which is public, it's celebrated, it's built on solid reason and ethics. You could call it the glory of the human race. And then you have the knight's way, which is a private, seemingly illogical leap of faith. And that's the secret hope of the individual soul. One masters the laws of the world, the other serves a hidden reality. And this is the final, crucial piece of the puzzle. Kierkegaard isn't saying the master's bridge is useless, not at all. That bridge, the one built with reason, logic, and shared ethics, is absolutely necessary for society, for the city to function. We need those bridges. But they can only take you so far. To reach the heart of the absolute, that ultimate truth for your individual soul, the only way is the leap.
So the question is left for us to answer. We all live in this city, and we all need those bridges of reason. But when you find yourself standing at the edge of your own personal abyss, are you going to keep building, or are you going to be ready to leap?